Hello everyone. Today we will start Glimpses of India. Part 1, A Baker from Goa. The lesson begins with how narrators elders often recall the time when Goa was under the rule of Portuguese, and they talk how the importance of bakers is still maintained in their villages even after the Portuguese have left, and they are known as padders in Goa. The mixers, molders, and their time-tested furnaces continue to serve the people of Goa with their famous bread loaves. Okay, so here we will see the explanation of the lesson, A Baker from Goa. This is a pen portrait of a traditional Goan village baker who is still and has an important place in his society. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, the Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, but the makers are still there. We still have amongst us the mixtures, the molders, and those who bake the loaves. Those age old, time tested furnaces still exist. The fire in the furnaces has not yet been extinguished. The third of jingle, the traditional baker's bamboo heralding his arrival in the morning, can still be heard in some places. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. These bakers are even today known as padder in Goa. See here, reminiscing nostalgically means thinking fondly about the past of the past. Loaves, what is the meaning of loaves? Is the plural form of loaf, that is a bread that is shaped and baked in a single piece and can be sliced for eating. Vanished means disappear suddenly. Molders are a person who molds dough into a shape. Furnaces is an enclosed structure in which materials can be heated to a very high temperature, or we can say for baking purpose. Extinguished means cause a fire to cease to burn. Heralding is announcing, and pader is the word for baker in Portuguese language. So just see the explanation of the paragraph. The story takes us back to the time when Portuguese ruled Goa and they were immensely famous for their breads. The narrator often finds his elders thinking about those old days and telling them that the famous bread date back to the time when the Portuguese ruled over Goa, and they ponder over the past and tell them that though the Portuguese have left Goa, but the bakers of bread still exist. If not the original one, their legacy is being continued by their sons. The bakers are still being referred to as a padders, and everything about baking is still the same, ranging from those who mold the bread loaves into the furnaces which have survived the ravages of the time and sound of their arrival, and the third of their bamboo stick can still be heard just like the olden times. Third and jingle, okay, that can be made by in the olden times also. So during our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. He used to come at least twice a day. Once when he set out in the morning on his selling ground, and then again when he returned after emptying his huge basket. The jingling third of his bamboo woke us up from sleep, and we run to meet and greet him. Why was it so? Was it for the love of the loaf? Not at all. The loaves were bought by some Paskin or Basti, the maidservant of the house. What we longed for were those bread bangles which we chose carefully. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special make. So here companion means a person with whom one spend a lot of time, or we can say friend. Jingling, make or cause to make a light metallic sound, that is jingling. Okay, So the narrator recalls that the baker acted as their friend and companion during their childhood days in Goa. And the baker used to visit twice a day, once while he was on the round to sell his loaves, and the other time when he returning back with his empty baskets, having sold all the loaves. And it was the sound of his bamboo stick that woke the children up, and then children were so excited to meet him and choose from the bread bangles or konkan, that is in round shape, the bread bangles he made specially for the children, while the bangles were for children and loaves were for the adults, and were generally collected by the maid servant of the house. Paskin and Bastin is the housemaid or servant. Okay, so the baker made his musical entry on the scene with the jang jang sound of his specially made bamboo staff. One hand supported the basket on his head and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. And he would greet the lady of the house with good morning and then place his basket on the vertical bamboo. We kids would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke and the loaves would be delivered to the servant. But we would not give up. We would climb a bench or the parapet and peep into the basket somehow. I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves for the elders and the bangles for the children. Then we did not even care to brush our teeth or wash our mouths properly. And why should we? Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaves for the toothbrush, and why was it necessary at all? The tiger never brushed his teeth. Hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after all. So here staff is stick, and what's the meaning of rebuke? That is an expression of disapproval or scolding. Fragrance is the pleasant smell, sweet smell. Parapet is the railing or low protective wall. Bangles here refers to the bread in the shape of bangle, that is also called kankun. The baker often made a musical entry with his bamboo stick, and his one hand supported the basket on his head and while the other banged the bamboo on the ground. And we would go house to house and greet the ladies before handing them over the loaves. The parents would scold the children and make them stand aside, but as eager as they were, they would climb a bench or the wall to peep into the basket. They did not even bother to brush their teeth before having those bread bangles, because it seemed an unnecessary effort for them to pluck mango leaves from the branches to use them for brushing their teeth. And they consider brushing unnecessary because the hot tea could effortlessly wash their mouth, and they thought that animals like the tiger never brushed their teeth. That is so funny. So marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread known as bowl. Just as the party or a feast loses its charms without bread, not enough can be said to show how important a baker can be for a village. The lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of their daughter's engagement. Cakes and bolinas are a must for Christmas as well as other festivals. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. So, the meaning of feast is a large meal, typically celebratory one, and bolinas. Is the another name for coconut cookies. So, bread is an important part of the Goan culture, and it is evident from its presence at every important occasion, from sweet bread at marriages to sandwiches at engagement parties and cakes and coconut cookies at Christmas as well as other occasions. Make the presence of a baker in every village is very essential. The baker or bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress known as kabai. It was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. In our childhood, we saw bakers wearing a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full length, once and longer than a half pants. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant which reaches just below the knees invites the comment that he is dressed like a padder. So the bakers were known to have worn unique knee-length frock dresses, typically known as kabai. In the narrator's childhood days, he had seen them wearing shirts and pants, and those length was shorter than the usual one, and it was a part to their identity. So much so that even someone wears that trousers length now, he said to have dressed like a baker or padder. It as was said in the olden times. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month. Monthly accounts used to be recorded on some wall in pencil. Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. The baker and his family never starved. He, his family, and his servant always looked happy and prosperous. Their plump physique was an open testimony to his. Even today, any person with a jackfruit like physical appearance is easily compared to a baker. Plump physique is the pleasantly fat body. Open testimony is public statement about a character or quality. The baker had a way of making a monthly record of bills on a wall using a pencil and then collecting the money at the end of the month. They used to write on the wall with a pencil. Baking has always been a profitable profession. The baker's family and workers have always been happy and joyous, and the baker was usually fat because which was the proof that he had a lot to eat, and hence was proof of his richness. Even to this day, someone with a well built body as compared to a baker. Okay, so let's see the questions. Oral comprehension check. What are the elders in Goa nostalgic about? So here the narrator often finds his elders thinking about those good old days or olden days and telling them about the famous breads that take him back to the time when Portuguese ruled over Goa. They ponder over the past and tell them that though the Portuguese have left Goa, but the bakers are still exist, if not the original ones. Their legacy is being continued by their sons. Next question. Is bread making still popular in Goa? How do you know? Yes, bread making is still popular in the city of Goa. It is evident from the existence of time-tested furnaces, mixtures and molders. So the legacy of the bakers is being continued by their sons. You will find a bakery in every Goan village as bread as an important part of the Goan culture. Next question. What is the baker called? The baker is referred to as a padder in the city of Goa. Next question. When would the baker come every day? Why did the children run to meet him? The baker would come twice every day during the narrator's childhood days. Once in the morning to deliver the loaves of the bread, and secondly in the evening on his return after selling his stock, and the children would go running to him to take the special bread bangle he had made for them. Next is oral comprehension. It is given match the following. What is a must? As marriage gifts, what is a must? That is cakes and bolinas. For a party or a feast, that is sweet bread called bol. For a daughter's engagement, bread. For Christmas, as a marriage gift, sweet bread called bol, and for the party or feast is bread, and for daughter's engagement is sandwiches, and for Christmas cake and bolinas. This is the right answers. What did the bakers wear first in the Portuguese days and when the author was young? In the Portuguese days, the baker wore a unique knee-length frock dress typically known as kabai. And in the narrator's childhood days, he had seen them wearing shirts and shorter than usual pant. Who invites the comment, he is dressed like a pedder? Why? During the narrator's childhood days, the baker had a peculiar dress. They wore shirts and shorter than usual pants. Thus, if someone is seen wearing the pants of this much length, they invite the comment, he is dressed like a pedder. Where were the monthly accounts of the bakers recorded? The monthly accounts of the baker were recorded on some wall with a pencil. What does a jackfruit-like appearance means? A jackfruit-like appearance means well-built or plump physique, fat body, similar to a jackfruit. In those days, bakers had plump physique because baking was a very profitable profession, and his family and servants never starved and were prosperous. Okay. So this is the explanation and answers for the questions. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe my channel. Bye.